don't ever smoke the dizzy, but we can always share some disease. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to rhyme. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Well, welcome everybody. Miss Liz back in the house, and today we had an incredible afternoon, but now we have an evening guest, and we have David Cunningham in the house, and we're going to be talking about his book that is called Your Love Does Matter. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to talk about some self-doubt and some transformation and all of that good stuff. And David's tea is transformation, elevation, and enlightenment. So that's the tea we'll be serving tonight in the house. That's right. Miss Liz doesn't serve a beverage. We serve lifetime stories on Tea Time. So before we get started, we're going to get everybody over to Miss Liz's YouTube channel, Spotify channel, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of those good places. Give it a quick follow, subscribe, and pass these tea times out to anyone that you know that it will resonate with or make a difference, because each tea time does make a difference. I guarantee you. So let's get started with disclaimer, and then we're going to get David in here, and we're going to spill some tea together tonight. Disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicated to sharing real life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. Miss Liz is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all the content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by the guests is based on their own experiences and is perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All guests, viewers, and participants are responsible for using their own judgment when considering any action or decision that may relate to the discussions. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotionally triggering subjects. Listeners and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, legal, or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have any questions regarding this disclaimer or the content of the discussions, you are welcome to contact me, aka Miss Liz, directly at my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com, or check out my link tree at Miss Liz's Tea Times. By choosing to participate and comment on or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntary. Miss Liz welcomes you to join the conversation with an open heart, and if at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect your decision and welcome you back whenever you are ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup at a time. Now let me give you a little bit on David. Tonight on Tea Time at the table, we welcome a guest whose life work is rooted in leading with love and awakening humanity. David Cunningham is a transformational leader, speaker, and an advocate for living and loving differently. His message invites us to see one another through the lens of compassion, courage, and possibilities. David believes that true change begins when we choose to live with intention, not just for ourselves, but for the good of the world around us. Through his insight and his own journey, he challenges us to let go of fear, embrace our authentic selves, and recognize that love has the power to transform how we lead, heal, and connect. Please join me in pouring a warm cup and welcoming David Cunningham to the Tea Time table as we explore what it means to awaken humanity by leading with love. Let me get David in here. Welcome, David.
Hello. Hi, Miss Liz. Hello, everybody listening.
It is a pleasure to have you here with us tonight. So, David, who was David as a little guy and who is David now?
As a little guy. Let's see. Well, one of my first memories being 4 years old, okay? And we lived in a really small town in Western New York, Southern New York called Olean, New York. And my family was very much related to the church. So we went to a really small church. And my earliest memory is at 4, we were taken to a candlelight service one night, which meant that we went to church and the whole sanctuary was lit just by candles. And the whole service, Miss Liz, was an artist painting a picture of Jesus, but it was a picture of Jesus on a velvet canvas. Do you ever see paintings on velvet?
Oh, that's old school.
Old school. I've seen them like along the highway. I've seen pictures of Elvis Presley painted on velvet, right? Well, this was Jesus and the lambs and the little children being painted on velvet. But to my 4-year-old eyes, it was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen my whole life, right? But I think, Miss Liz, as I reflect on it, it was my first encounter with my own soul, because as I watched this picture being painted, I was struck by Christ's love for the children. And I remember thinking to myself, I love that much. That's how much I love. I love people that much. That's how much I love. So that was my 4-year-old existence. Then,
I love it.
Life happened, right? So over the years, my family, a couple of things in my family, is my dad, when I was about 8 years old, I still don't know why, but my dad turned very violent against my mom. So for several years then, my house was filled with violence. And no matter how much I thought our love should matter to each other, it seemed like it didn't matter anymore. And so that went on for several years. And then as a teenager and a young adult, I started coming out as a gay man. And then I was told that my love was totally inappropriate and unacceptable. And then we moved away from the rest of our family, and it just seemed like love didn't matter anymore. So that was my journey. And so for several years, I knew I loved, but it got suppressed. I got suppressed. I kind of gave up on my love. And it wasn't until I did some real transformational work myself in 1983, I did a program called the S Training, invented by a gentleman named Werner Erhard. And in those programs, I truly just got my eyes opened again to everything that was limiting me from the expression of and the experience of my love. And I got that loving was really possible again. And so that opened up a new era of my life. And then in about 2000, I met a guru. Her name is Saima. And I got touched by this spiritual awakening that just opened my heart fully. In my relationship with Saima, I just got the total freedom to express my love again. So that's the path I'm on now for several years, and I'm 73 years old. And
No way.
Yeah, 73. and I've really chosen the next 30 years of my life. What I've devoted the next 30 years of my life to is that love prevails as the preeminent way of being on the planet. And I'm serious about that. I'm committed. We can do that as a civilization. We can have love win. We can have love prevail. And that's what my life is dedicated to now. And so I'm a busy
David,
guy.
I would have never gave you 73. Like, you look good for 73.
Okay, well, I'm going to come back on this show every week then.
No, you look good. So David, the reason that I asked who you were as a little guy and who you are now is because a lot of what we do as adults reflects on our childhood. Mm-hmm. And you came with the story of Jesus and as a little boy, and look at what you're doing now at 73. Mm-hmm. You're spreading the love. Like, mm-hmm. That little boy wanted to be heard, and that little boy is getting heard. I really liked when Kim sent me the cover of your book. I'm going to bring it up. If you want to describe what the book is, the colors and all that for the audio listeners out there, and for all the people that are tuning in, and tell them why you picked those colors, because the colors matter as well in life. So I'm going to bring the book up so you can describe the book a little bit.
Yeah. Well, for those of you that can't see the book, it's a sage green background. With a beautiful white lotus, kind of the centerpiece of the book, of the cover of the book, a beautiful white lotus. And then with purple lettering. It says, "Your love does matter." And purple, that color purple for me is the color of passion and the color of devotion. And so it's my favorite color. You'll see it just about everywhere I go. But it is a color of passion and devotion and deep, profound love. So that's what that color signifies to me. The lotus signifies for me really the source. It's the center. From the center of the lotus, life emerges, light emerges. And so it's the lotus for me signifies really the source of life itself. And so that's how I relate to love, is that loving when, as human beings, what's there naturally for us, and what's there in the purest living of our lives is to love. And if we're not loving, my assertion is we're just trapped by something. We're trapped by some opinions, judgments, some resentments. We're trapped by something. So the job is never to become loving. The job is to simply be able to free ourselves from whatever prevents ourselves from loving. My assertion is clearly that when we're free, we love. So the lotus represents, on the cover of the book, represents really the source of life, love itself, and that's who we are as human beings.
I love the title, "Your Love Does Matter."
Good.
We need to say that phrase a little bit more in life. Your love does matter.
Yeah, and it matters to us. It matters to me that I love. It matters to the people around me, and it matters to the world. That's why the subtitle of the book, Miss Liz, for everybody is A Journey to New Consciousness and Expanding Your Love Footprint. And I'm really hoping that whole notion of that we have a love footprint catches on in the world. That just like we have a carbon footprint, and it's so important that we're aware of that. How about, yes, we also have a love footprint. In other words, every time we leave an interaction, whether I talk to a clerk in a store for 30 seconds, or I work someplace and I have work colleagues for 10 years, when I leave that interaction, what do I leave behind? Do I leave behind argument, judgment, resentment? Do I leave behind indifference? Or do I literally leave behind love? And that's what I'm committed to, is that we can be aware of that every time we leave an interaction, we leave an energy behind, and we can get committed that when we leave love behind, expanding our love footprint.
And I love it because you're getting into the question. So I don't even have to ask the questions. He's coming around and he's just flowing and pouring them, because I had the footprint here. I had the color purple. And you brought up purple as your favorite color, David. And you said that it is passion and devotion. What age were you drawn to purple?
Oh, I can't remember not being drawn to purple. So
It's always been my favorite.
It had to be pretty early, right? I'm back with, Crayola crayons. It was the one I went for first every time, right? So I can't remember not being drawn to purple.
Well, that's nice. And purple is a nice color.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first time I've gotten the word devotion for purple. So that's interesting.
I think devotion, it's also one of the fundamental, expressions of my life. I think being devoted, and, the question is always, well, what would I be devoted to? Right. And so to explore that question, what is it I would be devoted to? I love the question. I love devotion. I've chosen love and the energy of love and the energy of creation as what I'm devoted to. That as far as I'm concerned, what my life is about is giving the most life and love to the most people I can as fast as I can. That's what I'm devoted to.
And see, the next question, I asked you to give me a word to describe yourself, and you gave me the word devoted. See, I'm going to love this tea time. I just got to do check, check, check. You're making my job easy here, David.
And I'm not missing that you dressed in purple tonight. So thank you for,
all my listeners know that Miss Liz does this. The question that I ask all my guests is what their favorite color is, and I wear their color to show appreciation for my guests. So
that's beautiful.
It's only for my guests. And so you gave me purple, I put purple.
Beautiful.
This afternoon was blue, so Miss Liz and wore blue. It's just to give appreciation that you guys take the time to sit and have tea with me.
Mm.
It's just my extra little special touch, the love that I give to all of my guests.
Mm.
I want to get into your tea because you gave me the word transformation, elevation, and enlightenment.
Sorry, Mrs. It's transformation, evolution. It should be
Evolution. Okay.
and
I
enlightenment.
spelt it wrong. Sorry.
Okay, good. Evolution.
Tell me why those three words, David.
Well, transformation is when literally everything and anything becomes possible for us. So a human being transforms, in the normal course of events, a human being looks at their life and only certain things seem possible and other things seem impossible. For some people, actually being forgiving one of their parents seems impossible. For some people, being healthy and fit seems impossible. When transformation happens, it's not just that one thing or two things become possible. It's literally everything and anything becomes possible in the living of their life. So that's the ultimate freedom for a human being, to have no barriers, no restrictions, anything and everything possible in the living of my life. And therefore, I get to create for myself any life that I choose. So that's why I chose transformation, because of the total freedom of it and the power that it gives us.
I like it. Freedom.
Mm-hmm. Evolution is because I think that's something for us as a human, as an individual human being, and us as a society. We're taking a step, and it's right now. It's time for us to take a step together in our evolution as a society, and for each of us to contribute to that. And I'm very committed that we're on a path, and we keep walking on that path and keep advancing ourselves on that path for an evolution. And we do it individually and we do it collectively. And then enlightenment, I chose because the evolution isn't the evolution of our bodies. That's not the kind of evolution I'm talking about. So it's not like we're going from walking on all fours to walking upright. I don't mean that kind of evolution. I mean a evolution of our consciousness, that literally our awareness of who we are and the divinity that we are. That awareness, that evolution of our consciousness is what I'm committed to. So transformation, evolution, and enlightenment.
I love it. It's a nice, strong cup of tea. See, that's the kind of tea we serve here. I love it. It's strong, it's passionate, it's devoted, it's committed, and it's freedom. I like it. Strong tea, David. Thanks for serving that tea.
Mm.
So we had some questions that came in, David, and I want to get those out to you tonight. The first one that came in was, from rural Pennsylvania to leading on 6 continents, what shaped your calling to transformation?
Literally what happened for people in the transformational conversation. So I got to lead transformational program. I think maybe the world's most powerful transformational program is called the Landmark Forum. I got to lead that for 30 some years around the world to hundreds of thousands of people. And while, yes, it was hundreds of thousands of people, and yes, it was around the world, what called me was what happened for each person. To each person in front of me, as we're working together to be able to heal any past wound, or to be able to heal any past injury, to be able to be whole and complete with themselves, to be able to be whole and complete with their life and all of life, to live and be fully free and self-expressed in their life. So what called me was what happened for people. And I saw people, make peace with family and friends that they'd been at war with. I watched people forgive themselves for, failures they'd had in their own life. I watched marriages. I had literally couples in front of me that had been in divorce court would all of a sudden be fully related again. So I watched families come back together. I watched people that struggled in business thrive in their business. So what happened for people is what called me.
David, do you feel that people get disconnected in marriages? Like they get to that divorce stage and then they go to a course like what you've led, and then all of a sudden realize I don't really want this. I want my marriage. I want my wife. I want my husband. Like, what is the awakening in that course that gets them to realize?
Yeah, two things. One is that nobody gets married and says, "Okay, I want to be married for 5 years, and then I want to hate my spouse." Right? Nobody says that, right? So,
But
however,
there is some out there we don't know about them, right?
right. However we end up there, that is not the path we intended to take, right? So if we end up at that case, boy, it's not what I would have chosen. But I can't see my way out of it at this point. I think, Miss Liz, what needs to happen is a new view of relatedness. And the new view of relatedness that's required is this. People have love often as an emotion, like I feel love or I don't feel love. Or people relate to love as actions, like I give you a Valentine or I don't give you a Valentine. There's a whole nother domain of life aside from what we have, like emotions, or what we do, like give Valentines. There's a domain of life, Miss Liz, called who we be as human beings. There's ways of being, like I'm stingy or I'm generous. I'm being respectful, I'm being disrespectful. I'm being loving or I'm being resenting is usually the duality there. So when you get love as a way of being, not as something you have or something you do, when you discover love as a way of being, you find out that's the one thing I have total say about. I don't have a say about what I have. I could have a car 1 minute, it's gone the next. I could have a job 1 minute, it's gone the next. I don't have any control over that.
Yeah.
I don't even have a say about what I do. I could show up at the airport on time and have my flight canceled, and so I don't get to fly. But whether I'm generous or stingy, that's up to me. Whether I'm caring or cruel, that's up to me. Whether I'm respectful or disrespectful, that's up to me. Oh, the one thing I have total say about my life, the one thing is who I be. And then you find out that the quality of our life is given by who we be. It's not, the quality of our life isn't given by what we have. I could have $1 million, and if while I have $1 million, I'm being cranky, guess what? I'm not enjoying life. I could be broke, and if while I'm being broke, I'm being generous or I'm being caring, I'm loving life. So the quality of our life isn't given by what we have. The quality of our life is not given by what we do. I could be skiing in the Swiss Alps, and if while I'm skiing in the Swiss Alps, I'm being argumentative, I won't enjoy it. I could be cleaning my basement, and if while I'm cleaning my basement, I'm being playful, I'll enjoy it. To discover that the quality of our life is not given by what we have, not given by what we do, but given by who we be, and that who I be is the one thing I have total say about, that's the best news I ever got. And then to find out, the thing that gives me the most joy is being loving. So I have the power to give myself a life that truly is the life I always wanted, being loving under any time, at any time, under any circumstance. That is a human being who's got their life in their own hands.
I love it, David, that you said, that's up to me.
Mm-hmm.
We all have a choice if we want to be mean or good. Like there's choices in life, and people don't realize it's that simple.
And then, yes, Mrs. And then there's another lesson in that, which is, I sometimes I perform marriage ceremony, so I enjoy that. And in the marriage ceremony, I'll always include this point, that the love never comes from the other person. See, if you love me and I'm cranky, I won't experience love. I'll experience crankiness. You could be adoring me, and if while you're adoring me, I'm judging you, I won't experience adoration. I'll experience judgment.
Yeah.
The other person can't give us anything. So in a relationship, if I go into a relationship expecting to get something from the other person, I'll almost always end up disappointed. But what's the point of a relationship if I can't get something from the other person? Oh, the only point is I can't be somebody if nobody's there. I can't be tender if there's nobody there to be tender with. I can't be generous if there's nobody there to be generous with. I can't be compassionate if there's nobody there to be compassionate with. I can't be loving if there's nobody there to be loving with. When you discover that they can't give me anything except the opportunity to be who I want to be, we're left grateful for the presence of anybody in our life, and we're left grateful for partners. And when people discover that in a marriage, usually all of the argument falls away and they're left able to really appreciate each other again.
Oh, wow. You know, it's that simple. You know, self-love. We have to self-love ourselves in order to get the love in return.
And again, I'll say one more time, loving self isn't like, oh, I should love myself more. No, it's, oh, if I'm not loving myself, something got in the way.
Yeah.
What got in the way? Let me get that out of the way. Some opinion about myself got in the way. Some view of myself that or belief about myself got in the way. Oh, if I can move that off to the side, then I naturally love myself. So it's not trying to love myself more. It's identifying what robbed me of loving myself in the first place and putting that aside.
I'm so glad you put that out there, David, because a lot of people are like, oh, I got to love myself more. I got to pat myself on the back more. That's not what self-love is.
Mm-mm. And it doesn't work anyway. It might be there for a fleeting moment, but it has no lasting power.
Yeah. So the next question that came in is, what does love mean to you beyond emotion and relationship?
Well, again, I relate to love as a way of being. And so it's a possibility. What love means to me, it's a possibility in being human. It's a possibility in being me. So out of all the ways I can be, as you said, Miss Liz, it's a choice I make. I can choose being loving. So what love means to me is that it's a possibility in being me.
I like that answer. Being me. Why do you think people are so scared of being me?
Well, because again, we live in a world of judgment. So it's one of the biggest fears is the fear of what other people are saying or going to say. And we probably learned that pretty young, right? On playgrounds, kids could be pretty judgmental, right?
I don't know. There's some adults that are out there that can be pretty judgmental too.
Yeah. Well, some of us unfortunately had parents that were condemning and judgmental of us as well. It's important to get that none of that is true. So this is a pretty radical statement for so no matter what, we each have a view of life. We see things a certain way. You and I don't see the thing. You and I could stand side by side and look at the same world and still have a different view of it.
Yep.
So to argue which view is the right one and which view is the wrong one is a silly, wasteful argument. Oh, we have views of life, and none of them are the right view. Oh, they're just views of life. So we want to be able to free ourselves from truths about ourselves and there's views, but those views aren't the truth. That gives us some freedom right there.
Yeah. So how do you help people break through the shame and judgment?
Well, the shame and judgment of self, judgment of self. Okay. So yeah, again, there's what literally happens is distinct from what we make up about what happens, our interpretation of what happens, or our story about what happens. So if I fail a grade in school, suppose I fail fifth grade. What happened is I failed fifth grade. But most kids, if they fail fifth grade, would then add something to that. They'd add, so I'm stupid, or I'm a failure, or, I'm not as good as the other kids. You'll notice long after fifth grade is over, what stays in place is that story that I'm stupid or I'm not as good as the other kids. What lasts for us is not the event. what lasts for us is what we made up about the event. What's important for people to get, how you get free from that, is to get, wait a minute, the story didn't happen. What happened is I failed 5th grade. I'm stupid, didn't happen. That got made up about the event. That's a story. So when you get a story is a story, Miss Liz, it has no impact on you. You know, Red Riding Hood, that's a terrible story, isn't it? The wolf eats the grandmother. That's like a terrible story.
That's traumatizing right there.
Except you and I can listen to that story and we don't get traumatized simply because we know it's a story.
Yeah.
Goldilocks, think about it. She breaks into the bear's house. She eats their food. She breaks their furniture. She is technically what we call today a youth at risk. But you and I don't call the police when we hear Goldilocks because we know it's a story.
Yeah.
Stories that we know are stories have no impact on us. In fact, we're entertained by them. Yeah. It's only when we relate to a story like it's real, which happens for us even mostly every time we go to a movie, right? We go to a movie, and if it's a decent movie, somewhere in the middle of it, we forget it's a movie, and we cry when people die. But nobody died. They got rich, but we're crying. Why? Because we forget for a few minutes that it's a story. Yep. Then luckily, with movies, at some point, it goes, the end, and the lights come on. We wipe away
we wake up.
and we wipe away our tears and go, that was a great movie. In life, there's no sign that says the end. So if at 10 years of age, we fail a grade in school and we make up the story that we're stupid, we don't relate to it as a story, we relate to it as real life, and it never says the end. So what gives us the freedom from shame and the freedom from judgment of ourselves is to get that we've done what we've done, we haven't done what we haven't done, and everything that would bring shame or judgment is not what happened. It's a story about what happened, and to actually be able to see it and hear it as what got made up about what happened. When we get it as a story, we set ourselves free from it, and the shame and judgment goes with it.
And that's when I close the curtains and we realize we can carry on.
That's right. Show's over. That's right.
Show's over. Close those curtains.
That's right.
What inspired you to launch the Love Matters collaboration, David?
Well, the Love Matters collaboration. So I launched that as a nonprofit organization after I wrote the book. And I have a long history in advocacy and nonprofit work and grassroots movement. I started out as a special ed teacher. I was a director for several years of what was called the Connecticut Justice for Children collaboration, which that was way back in like the 1970s, when in those days there was no juvenile court system. If kids got arrested, they went right to adult court and right to adult prison. So we had to literally set up a juvenile court system. After that, I was one of the directors of the National Committee for Prevention of Child Abuse to get the first child abuse prevention laws passed in this country. And we were able to do that in every state. So I have a long history in grassroots movements. So what had me start the collaboration was that profound understanding that if we really want something to happen pervasively in society, people have to be involved. So I'm setting up the collaboration so that people can participate. So one of the things I'm going to do with it is I'm going to have people be able to join it. And I'm committed that we get members from every country in the world. It'll be free membership. But when people join, they sign a pledge to expanding their love footprint.
Oh.
So that's why a collaboration, so people can participate, and that's when something becomes rooted in society.
I that love footprint needs to be, I really want to know more about that, David. So keep me in touch with more on that as you go along.
Great. Can I tell you one other aspect of it, Ms. Liz? Is that all right? Is another project is the collaboration, and I'm calling Love Goes to the Capital. Love Goes to the Capital. So that, because if we look at love prevailing on the planet, it's going to have to infuse our political systems around the world. So I'm here in the United States. We'll start in the United States. So I've got two aspects of the project so far. This week, while you and I are talking, actually, is my book. I sent a copy of my book, that Your Love Does Matter, to every single member of Congress, the president and the vice president, and several governors in the country. So 535 members of Congress got my book this week, and the president and the vice president get my book this week. So I'm committed that we're infusing the political system with a new possibility of love. But then the other aspect of Love Goes to Capitol is we're starting here in Pennsylvania, and I'm just committed. We go to the Capitol in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, once a week for a whole year. We're going to start very soon in the next few weeks. 1 week, I do some volunteer work with some gentlemen right out of prison. So we're going to take the guys that I work with that are formerly incarcerated. We're going to go to the state capitol and deliver an orchid to every legislator. Then the next week, we're going to take a group of trans teenagers to the Capitol. And all we're going to do is open doors for legislators as they come and go. No political talk whatsoever, just pure acts of love. I'm committed that if we do one project like that a week for a year, 52 projects, that we'll just infuse a new spirit into our political system. We can do that. And I'm hoping people in other states pick that idea up and run with it. So again, why collaboration? Is so people, I think people are hungry. People ask, like, what can I do? I don't love what's going on, but what can I do? I want to give people something they can do, really, to bring love to the world.
I like the approach that you're going, because it's not political. It's coming with love, right?
No politics whatsoever. That would just, take the whole thing down the drain right there.
Yeah. No, I like that. And as it goes on, David, keep me posted, because I'd like to know more about it. I'd like to get this done in Canada as well. We need more love in Canada too.
Okay, great.
And advocacy work needs to be done with the heart. Mm-hmm. I'm starting to see that a lot of advocates out there are doing it just for the show and losing the passion and purpose behind it. So I'm really happy that you're bringing this to the table, David, because we need more work like this. And I like the approach of sending your book to everybody. That's how we open doors, get people read and see through words and that as well. Good.
I'm just committed. It's got to make some difference, and we'll follow it up with all different kinds of activities, but it's a start. Just get the message out there.
So the 52 projects, do you have a lineup of 52 projects already in go, or?
No, I only have my first 3 thought of, but that's the point. I got to give other people a chance to invent them, right? So
well, that's where the collaboration comes in, right?
Exactly. My little pea brain over here, I came up with 3. Okay, I got 49 more I need. Okay, come on, let's start thinking together.
But that's what it is, right? We got to bring people together. We got to work together. We got to collaborate together. And I'm big on collaboration, because that's how we make a difference, is by one person at a time. One person gives your thought, the next person gives a thought, and then we slowly connect those dots, right? And we make the difference.
Yeah, and Miss Liz, we've got to rely on, this will only triumph if we rely on really betting everything on love. Bet it all on love. So mostly, if you watch society today, people are counting on being right. You listen to people argue that they're right and somebody else is wrong. I'm the right one. I'm the right one. And it seems to have become much more important than being related is being right. And, but again, that all becomes, well, first off, it's the source of division between people, because if I'm right, somebody else is wrong. But it's also based on an illusion that anybody's ever right. I'm going to say something radical. I've never been right ever once in my life, and I've never been wrong though either. I have my views of life, and everybody else has their views of life. Nobody's ever been right. Nobody's ever been wrong. And if we could get that across, if people could, like, oh, yeah, I've got my view, you've got your views. Neither of us are ever right. Neither of us are ever wrong. Oh, then we can just count on that somehow I can work anything out with anybody if I keep my love present.
Yeah.
If my righteousness takes over, I can't work things out with them. If I keep my love for them present, I can work anything out with anybody.
Well, it's kind of like in the disclaimer that I say at every show, right? Everyone has their own perception. It's the 6 or the 9 or the 6, right or wrong. We all have a difference in the world that we can make. And it goes back to what you said at the beginning of the show, David, the choices, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have a choice if we want to be bad or good. Like we have a choice if we want to be happy or sad. We have the power to do that. And we have the power between love and hate. So we can change it if we work together and we collaborate together.
That's correct. And if we stand there and operate from that principle, then again, we've got all our power and all our freedom to really create our lives, not react to life, but create life.
Yeah. And when did we give up having clean debates?
Well, when we fell for the illusion that there's right and wrong, somebody's right and somebody's wrong. Yeah. As soon as that illusion, comes into play, then it's no longer a debate, it's an argument. So, I have in the United States, in the current political system, there's been a lot of division. And in the last election, families got divided, friends got divided. And I have a neighbor that I care deeply about. I love my neighbor. And I was surprised when I found out he was voting the other way than I was, quite frankly. Really? And I was like kind of surprised, really? And then I saw a couple Facebook posts that he made that were kind of argumentative about it. And I was like, really? Like, I was troubled by it. So I called him up. I said, can I come over? I want to just talk to you, and I want to hear what you think, right? So I went over, and I probably spent 2 hours in his kitchen just listening to his views. I said, tell me how you see things. Now, at a couple points during the conversation, I have to admit, I started thinking, he's wrong. And I noticed as soon as I had that thought, I wanted to argue with him. And as soon as I had the thought he was wrong, I didn't feel connected with him, even though I love him dearly. Yeah. I had to keep catching myself. Oh, wait, he's not wrong. He has a view that's different than my view. Let me understand his view and have compassion for a human being with that view. And at the end of the couple hours, I listened and I heard how he saw life. I still didn't see it the way he saw it, but we were left connected, related, just important to each other. Our different views didn't come between us. Different views only come between people when you think one of them's right and one of them's wrong, which would be a silly thing to think.
Well, and you're still good friends with your neighbor?
Oh, we're adore each other, yes.
David, I want to talk about the Awakening Weekend that I found on your website. So tell us about that. How does that work and all that good stuff?
Yeah, well, it's a program that I've invented, Miss Liz. I'm really pleased with it. So I led a transformational program, as I said, for almost 35 years. I've also done quite a bit of spiritual work myself. In relationship with my guru. Her name is Saima. I lead guided meditations. I teach different spiritual teachings, etc. I wanted to create something that was brand new, that brought those two worlds together. The world of transformational discoveries and the world of spiritual awakening. I knew somewhere when those two worlds came together, there had to be something new that we hadn't talked about yet, we hadn't explored yet. And I think I've done it. So I've created a program called The Awakening, which I'm really pleased with. I'll be leading it in Philadelphia this month, starting October 23rd, and in Los Angeles, starting November 6th. And people can find out about it on my website, yourlovedoesmatter.com. But I think in that program, it's just a 3-day program. I think we've done it. We've put transformation, crossing paths with spiritual awakening. Another way I'm referring to the program, Ms. Liz, is I'm calling it an anointment of self as source. an anointment of self as source. I think in that program, people are going to leave that program really relating to themselves as the source of their life and at the source of life itself, and leave truly loving who they are, at peace with who they are, with a purpose, with a real sense of purpose and the kind of fulfillment that comes with having a sense of purpose. So I'm really pleased about it. I can't wait to deliver it.
And we have a question here. It says, what difference from other self-help books are out there are, I'm guessing, with your book? Is your book a self-help book?
I wouldn't necessarily call it a self-help book, but I want to be really clear. It's not a book about love. So again, the title is Your Love Does Matter, but it's not a book about love.
Okay.
Why? Because we can read books about things and they make no difference. I could read a book about being effective and not end up effective. I could read a book about being a leader and not end up a leader. So I didn't want to write a book about love that didn't have an impact on people. So this book, the subtitle is A Journey to New Consciousness. I wrote it as a journey. I shared my journey, but I wrote it so that at every step along the way, it opened a door for whoever's reading to discover themselves as a loving being, as a light being, as a divine being, and to then be able to bring that into the daily living of their life. So it's really a journey. And so it's not a book about love, and it's not really self-help. It doesn't come from it all that people start out deficient or disabled in any way. It doesn't have that premise at all. It starts out with who we are already is wholly loving, and there's just barriers in our way. So it's removing the barriers, as I spoke about before.
And what age, target age, are you looking at with this book?
Probably 15, 16, maybe, somebody 13, 14 would engage in it. But by the time somebody's 15 or 16, on up to my mom's 99, and she and some of the people that live at her senior community are reading it. And I had one of my mom's friends at the senior community where she's living. When I went to visit my mom the other day, her friend Carol came up to me and says, well, she goes, I was in the grocery store and I was reaching for something off the shelf, and somebody came up and banged my cart, and I was about to turn around and just give them a piece of my mind. She goes, and then I thought about your book, and I thought, wait a minute, I've got a love footprint. So I turned around and said, something kind to the person. And she goes, and the big surprise was it turned out to be my own daughter. So a funny anecdote, but the point was that, yes, who's it for? So if you can be 99 and still interested in your love footprint in the world, because you're still living life. My mom's 99. We're looking forward to her 100th birthday in a while. She's still living life and interacting with people, and the quality of her life comes from her loving. So
I love that story of the love footprint, the daughter.
Yeah. Another woman came to me and said, in the same senior community, said that she and my mom were down at dinner in the dining room, and they had a young teenager that was a waiter, and he was really great. And she said she got back to her apartment after dinner and realized she didn't really thank him. She said, I thought about your book. And she says, I didn't go out of my way to tell him how much I appreciate him. So she literally went back down to the dining room, found the young man just to tell him again how much she appreciated, how great he was. Again, conscious of her love footprint. So from probably 14, 15 to a million and anywhere in between, that age group.
Oh, I love it. And I love that love footprint.
I really want that to catch on worldwide. I want that to become a global conversation. So I appreciate being on your podcast right now. So again, we can share about it. And the more people hear about it, the more pleased I am.
And David, give me one word that defines love for you.
One word that defines love? Grace.
Oh,
Grace, ultimate love. Would be love that doesn't have to be deserved and is never taken away. You know, if I bestow grace on somebody, I don't make them deserve my love. I just give it to them, and I would never take my love away under any circumstance. So grace, I guess, it would be the ultimate love.
and that's one word we don't hear today too much in the world is grace.
Mm, mm. You know, when people discover that that all of us, we can bestow grace on others. You know, we can bestow grace on total strangers. I give them my love. They don't make them deserve it. I don't even make them, you know, get to know me. I'll just give them my love to a total stranger. It's bestowing grace, and I won't take it away no matter what happens. And that's my power as a human being. But when people discover they can bestow grace on others, I'm telling you, it makes people, every time somebody discovers that, they get so happy because it just is such a joyous way to live.
And a book that deeply transformed your life.
A book that deeply transformed my life. Let me think for a minute. There's a book called Speaking Being. Speaking Being. And it's a book about the work of Werner Erhard. And it compares the work of Werner Erhard to the work of the philosopher Heidegger. And it's what it really shows. The lesson that is in that book primarily is that our speaking gives our life. See, we think life happens and then we talk about it. The lesson I learned in that book is no. We speak and then we get a life. In other words, we literally see what we speak. So if I show you this, Miss Liz, and I say that's a number, what do you see?
I see a finger.
But if I say it's a number, what do you see?
Yeah, I see one.
And if I say it's a direction, what do you see? A direction.
Direction. Straight up.
Up. Okay. Now, if you'll notice, there's no one here and there's no up here. But I gave you some language. I said a word and I had you start seeing something that's actually not here. That's the power of language. I know that was a silly example, but you know, I
like it.
I, for one, have to admit that for a long time, I said my dad was closed-minded. That's what I said about him. Yeah. And I thought that I was observing my dad and then concluding that he was closed-minded. No, it wasn't working that way. I said he was closed-minded, and it had me start seeing the evidence for it in everything he did. In the way he folded his newspaper, in the way he combed his hair became evidence about how close-minded he was. So in that book, Speaking Being, the main lesson I walked away with was, oh, I speak and then I create the reality I live in. And then here was the really radical news. I create reality for whoever listens to me. So I told other people my dad was closed-minded. And I had to deal with, oh, I had them start seeing that quality of my dad. So when I discovered that, wait, I'm the one that spoke it into existence, I had some cleaning up to do with my dad and with other people that I quote unquote had gossiped about him with. And so I got it cleaned up. So we took that speaking out of existence. But Speaking Being is that powerful, powerful, profound discovery of the power of language in our lives.
And that's why I ask these questions, because I get good information that I can check out too. And that, you know, and we have this ripple effect, right? When we have an opinion about somebody in our lives, you know, and we share with other people, we want other people to feel what we feel sometimes. And then they start to feel it. And then we're like, oh, well, we didn't really want you to feel that. We just wanted you to understand how we felt. And kind of like what you just said there, David.
Yeah. In fact, it kind of sometimes annoys us when other people don't feel. If we're upset and other somebody else isn't upset, it kind of annoys us, right? It's like,
Right? We're like, why aren't you mad?
exactly. And then they get upset, and it's like, oh, that wasn't such a good idea having them be upset too.
Yeah. So, David, what message do you want to leave for future generations to carry on about love and our being?
Hmm. When we're free, we love. Love is a way of being. And it's what has us love our life. It's up to us. We get to choose, as you said a couple times, so we get to choose. And loving is a way of being. We can choose. We can choose resenting. Let's explore forgiveness for a minute, Miss Liz, okay? See, forgiveness is one of the perfect demonstrations of that. Most people think forgiveness is, I forgive you for having done something wrong. That doesn't work, because then there's always a debate. Does my forgiveness condone what they did? Does my forgiveness excuse what they did? Does my forgiveness give them permission to do it again? No. A whole new notion of forgiveness would be forgive. I give my love like I did before anything happened. So I could be resentful or I could be loving. I'm choosing being loving. Why? Well, because I notice when I'm resenting, I am one miserable human being. I do not enjoy life at all while I'm being resentful. So forgiveness actually isn't for the other person. It's for us. It's a choice about our life. Do I want to lead a resentful life or a loving life? So the message I'd like to leave for future generations is love is a way of being. We get to choose it. It's what gives us really the fulfillment of our lives. And we have a love footprint. Let's pay attention to that. That would be the message.
And that leads right into the last question that I want to ask you. A simple daily practice anyone can do to expand their love footprint.
I like to, well, first off, I meditate every day. So I really invite people to have some practice of mindfulness, meditation, quietness, peacefulness, just to settle things, right? But then when I'm done meditating, the real practice is this that I wanted to share with you, is that I start envisioning my day. So I envision where I'm going to go next, who I'm going to be with. And I visualize myself being in that situation as love, purely loving. And so then I imagine what could happen being there with that person, doing whatever we're doing, bringing love to the situation. And then I picture, okay, then what am I doing after that? So visualizing my day, where I'm going to be, who I'm going to be with, what there is to accomplish. And before I go, visualize myself being there, loving, and imagine what extraordinary things could happen that way. So that practice, I think, is really powerful.
Visualizing has made a big, huge difference on my life as well, David, because I've been doing affirmations for the whole year from January 1st, and visualizing is part of my meditation every day.
Wonderful.
Just kind of putting yourself in situations and environments where you see peace and harmony. And, when life gets too heavy, you just close your eyes and be on a mountaintop or, riding the waves, riding a surfboard. Not that I could ride a surfboard, maybe one day.
Hey, but you can visualize it.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm not hurting anybody, because when I open my eyes, the story's over.
Yeah, exactly. Visualizing what I'm going to bring to the party before I get there. And then it has me create my day really powerfully. And then I like to assess it at the end of the day too.
Yeah.
And sometimes we blow it, like, geez, I just had an interaction a couple months ago with my dry cleaner that, oh boy, I'm sure glad nobody videotaped that. Oh boy, I was.
There was no love footprint that day.
Oh boy, I really blew it. I was so righteous. I mean, it was about shirts. If you can believe it or not, it was about how clean the shirts were. I mean, like, what a ridiculous thing to argue about. But I was just right and he was wrong, and I was convinced of it. And we had an argument, and I left, and it was not nice. And I had a 5-minute drive home. And as soon as I got home, I called him back and said, I'm so sorry. the good news is we can clean it up. If we make a mistake, we can clean it up and on a moment's notice too. So I got it all cleaned up, but I like to evaluate myself after interactions about my love footprint and really tell the truth to myself. What did I leave behind?
And David, where can people find your book and find more about you?
They can find the book on Amazon. Okay, that's the best place to find it. Your Love Does Matter by David Cunningham. But I really would love people to visit my website, yourlovedoesmatter.com. They can find out about the course, The Awakening. They can find out about the project Love Goes to the Capital. They can get recordings of the meditations I lead. If they do Your Love Does Matter /gift, Your Love Does Matter /gift, it'll take them right to a set of meditations that I want to make available for free for people to download and enjoy this. There's 30-minute meditations that I lead in the morning on Zoom, and I'll be announcing another series soon so people could join. They're free. So I just would love for people to visit my website and, be part of the collaboration.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm just going to do a closing summary and then we're going to wrap it up.
Thank you, Miss Liz. Thank you, really, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for this conversation.
What a deeply moving tea time we've shared today with David Cunningham. His wisdom reminds us that leading with love is more than an ideal. It is a daily practice, a choice, and can ripple through families, communities, and even the world. David's words invite us to pause, reflect, and realize that awakening humanity begins with each of us, in how we speak, how we listen, and how we show up for one another. As we close this cup of tea time, let's carry forward David's call to action, to live boldly, love intentionally, and lead in the ways that lift others. Thank you, David, for bringing your heart to the table and inspiring us to believe that love truly can transform everything it touches. Thank you, everybody, and I will see you same time, same place, and we'll do it all over again. And a special shout out to Shadow God. I see you in the studio. Thank you for showing up. And thank you to the viewers on Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn who also joined us tonight. I couldn't do this without all of you guys. So thank you, and I'll see you next week, Tuesday, Thursday, and we'll do it all over again.